Hello everyone, it is Timea from Unreal Reality from Antwerp. I'm from Dubrovnik but living in Antwerp. Today, as you can see according to the title of this video, I will go a little bit more into details about religion. I have made already a couple of videos in my language, but if you compare the playlist, so usually if you are new on the channel, go to the playlist and check out the languages in which I speak. I started in my language because I wanted to explain first to my people what am I going to talk about, and I was still in Croatia when I started this summer. So I don't know, maybe to ground myself, to find some roots and support over there, just so they know what am I gonna do. And then later I started actually publishing the videos in other languages. So I have already touched some of these topics. In some of my videos I have also mentioned a couple of things about this. And now I will go a little bit more into detail. So in front of me I have my lecture, which I mentioned in the video, from the little Yugoslav refugee to the universe. I mentioned that I'm writing a lecture. I have 130 pages. It can be a book as well, I don't know. But I just wanted to put on one place, actually, all of the information. There's also a lot which I haven't been putting because I was writing this last year, somewhere from May till June, July, something like that. And then when I started making videos, I acquired also new information. And when you talk about it, you get to make a better connection of it all. But the bases are mostly here. So for the religion, I was inspired by, well, when I was at home, it is a Roman Catholic country, and people still are practicing religion in Croatia, so from 1991, even more than before, when we were in Yugoslavia. It also became some political stuff, I would say. Maybe lately not so much, but it is kind of connected. If you're not going to the church, you're not a real Croat. You are Yugoslav, you're a communist, you're whatever. So that's what I'm saying, even more. But of course, as you have, whenever you have more of one, you have, well, not necessarily actually, but there are a lot of people which abandon religion, just like it's happening everywhere actually, because the information is going out. And it cannot be hidden anymore. It's just a matter of time when certain information gets to you. So this is me transmitting the information. In the video, why am I doing this? I explain I'm doing it because I want to free humanity, because I think that the truth will set us free, because I think that there is too much suffering created by the religious rules, which is totally unnecessary. So I was a little bit hooked onto Hasidic, the community here, which I realized some stuff about them because they're Orthodox. One division from the Orthodox, so more Orthodox than the Orthodox. But I'm in contact also with a lot of Muslims, you know, that women are covering their hair, covering their head. In general, you know, a lot of religious rules which are quite, well, basically unequal to men and women, because of the idea that woman was created from man, and you know that during thousands of years the woman was submissed to man. I know that is changing, but still there is a layer of it even in modern cultures. I'm not so much in it. It's not really the point of my focus. I'm talking also about the rules like not eating pork, or I don't know, not drinking alcohol, for example. I don't say that that's a good stuff, but it is one aspect of experience, something in certain periods which it doesn't necessarily has to be harmful. If you can, if you're good here, you won't get hooked up on anything. So it's not about healthy living, those rules. It's just about believing that God really said something. And the God from our religious, Judeo-Christian, Islamic, is not who we think, not who we are presented. It is full of disinformation, of corrupting the translations intentionally very often, or sometimes if they didn't know what to do with it, they would just put something. So here, I'm going to talk today about Mauro Biglino, who was an Italian scholar of religious studies, translator. He was translating the Masoretic text for San Paolo Edizioni. It is the Vatican. He was working for the Vatican, translating the old books for the Vatican. And it was all okay. He published 17 books until he started actually talking about the stuff which he found out, which is not really corresponding to the information that they want to give us, that they were giving to us. The real translations which have nothing to do with the translations which we were given, and all of the corruption actually created, corruption made to create a monotheistic religious view. Monotheistic and male dominant, like that. So, just to start with is the word Elohim, which I have mentioned already in the previous videos. Oh, I forgot to put on airplane mode. Pause. Okay, flight mode on. The word Elohim, which in Hebrew is plural actually, and it means gods, not God. And in many different parts, they would put, of course, God. In some others, they would put Yahweh, but it has a totally different meaning, actually, if you really look at the original script. Now, I like to say many people actually have read the, well, Old Testament, if you want, so the Bible, or well, there's certainly, I don't know, so I am sticking to the Old Testament now, mostly. But nobody has really read it, because the versions which arrived to you, which arrived to you are so much changed. So if you really want to read the Bible, you should read the older scripts and the translation of that, the real translation of those words. And when you read it actually and you get to the real translation, the stories are very similar to the Sumerian story, Sumerian tablets, if you heard, to the translation of Zechariah Sitchin, who is very often discredited actually, but even his version is very similar to the Greek version, to South American stories, Greek version to the old Greek stories, to the Latin American stories, India, really Hindu stories, so about their gods and their wars. So the Bible, the Old Testament, is actually more similar to that. So I will see, I don't want to make it too long the video, I mean definitely I just started. I will start reading and then we see where I arrive. This will probably be in a couple of episodes. So, okay. Now I would like to say also that a lot of open-minded and dogma-free rabbis or professors of Judaism have doubts in the stories. Some biblicists from the rabbinical assembly doubt the existence of Abraham or even Moses. They have no problem with claiming that the Jewish tribe and language haven't existed in the time of Abraham or Moses. We don't know which language they spoke, actually, because Abraham lived on the territory of Samaria, so it was Akkadian that he was speaking, and Moses in Egypt, so a version of Egyptian. Roger and Mesod Sabach, scientists from rabbi families, realized, examining the Targum, which is a Bible written in Aramaic, that the word Yahud, the term used for the priest caste in the time of Pharaoh, Akhenaton, and not Jewish as the Masoretic text translated. And Moses was described to be a son of Yahud, so not of a Jewish Jew, but of a priest, high priest caste. Even later, Moses claims to be sent by the Elohim Yahudah, while the Masoretes write that he was sent by Elohim of Ivrim, Jewish. So the older version are saying something else. And since later they wanted to change the idea which was given, you see, they just say Ivrim. And Yahud means priest caste. Professor Jacob Milgram, Professor Emeritus of Biblical Studies, University of California, Berkeley, brings to discussion one midrash from the Psalms where Moses talks to Yahweh. Not knowing the meaning of some rules, he asks him how to understand it, and Yahweh replies, "You must follow the majority. When the majority proclaims something to be pure, it is pure. And when they proclaim it to be impure, it is impure." Yahweh, God, so these are supposed to be the words of God. Now apply that to Nazism, for example, to the Nazi movement, something that God, Almighty Love, would say. Rabbis have noticed that God commands those exiting Egypt, allegedly slaves, to ask the masters to give them, to take all the gold, slaves ordering their masters. And just note the God's command for gold, which is also quite a weird idea, because in the first verses of the Bible we have gold. According to the Sumerian tablets, gods came from the planet Nibiru looking for gold because the atmosphere was so polluted, and they needed gold because the particles of gold are cleaning our atmosphere, which is a scientific fact. We could do that as well. And even in South Africa, there are a lot of gold mines where the humanity came from. That will be also explained in one of the videos. So again, gold. I mentioned also when the Europeans came into Latin America, when they discovered the new continent, also what the natives said, no, gold belongs to gods. So now there, yes, a lot of Christians or Jews will be offended by this questioning of their beliefs. But this is actually what the original Bible talks about. So it's not inventing a new version, it is unveiling of the hidden knowledge. I was thinking this stuff, how it could piss off a lot of people. But of course it would piss you off if this is what you were told during your life, if this is what your ancestors believed. Now, especially if you are Orthodox and if you are following really specific rules which are definitely hurting people. I always mention that. Come on, the agreed marriages. The first time you must sleep with somebody that disgusts you, and you must live with him for the rest of your life. You must live with an idiot, let's say like that, or he must live with an awful woman. So, I mean, religious. This is not so much religious as it's more commercial, I would say, but it is part of a religion, in some kind of a way. So, it could definitely be considered offensive by a lot of people. But I repeat, the truth will set you free. Now, just get informed. Don't shoot the messenger. I mean, I am a messenger. So these are the results of the prominent Israeli archaeologist, teacher of history, hundreds of rabbis and alternative researches which are not conditioned by the need of defending their position and salaries. So because this Mauro Biglino, he was removed from his position, of course, after he published that book. Because whenever you publish something that goes against the general opinion, we have that even in science, how many of them have been ridiculized, and later on it proved on to be true, to be exactly like that, but still they are discrediting them, or they will just deny those persons. So a lot of information is intentionally hidden from us. So something I lately like to repeat, that people are not, because I was telling you're not informed, I was saying you're not informed. So for example, when I talk to my mom, and then it's not true, she's a very informed woman, and a lot of people I talk to with are very informed, but it's not they're not informed, they're misinformed. So that's it. We are mostly the idea which we are given, served. Those are the newspapers that you find in the metro. Why are they giving it to you for free? Do you know, in the States, TV was obligatory because they want you to think that way. They want you to have their opinion. So we have a certain package here, and on the cell phone I have 4 gigas, but when I activate the television, TV, I will have 8. So it's not when I activate Wi-Fi, when I activate, we don't have TV yet. So it's not then, it's when we activate the TV, because that is the version which they want us to know. I have said that in the video already down the rabbit hole. Let's continue with this. So when in the Bible you read God, singular, in Hebrew you find Elohim, which is plural. Elohim is plural, it means gods. So wherever there was gods, Elohim, wherever there was actually Elohim, gods, they changed it into God. And then when in the Bible you read Lord or eternal, in the Hebrew is Yahweh. So the Hebrew Bible makes difference between Yahweh and Elohim, because Elohim is gods. Yahweh is just one of them. But you see they didn't know how to connect it. So for Elohim, gods, they just, when they were translating or correcting, they put it God, created monotheistic. And where there was Yahweh, they would say Lord of or eternal. Now this is the most obvious when the land was divided. So it says that Elyon was dividing the land and the people. So it wasn't chosen by Yahweh, as they're telling us. And it's written that he found it in the spooky desert. Elyon is a Hebrew term translated meaning higher or above, or it can be just a higher rank. So Elyon, higher rank, was dividing the land, and Yahweh got that. So you see how already it gets a different meaning when you know the real words. Since in the Bible they translate all with God, both Elyon and Yahweh, it means that God divides the territory and then he gives to himself one territory, which he's not really happy with, so he goes and conquer with those people other territories which he didn't give to him initially. And not only conquer, massacring, it's massacres, it's ethnic cleansing. Our God Almighty. Extermination. Yeah, quite weird. Almighty. So couldn't he just, all-knowing, give himself all of those territories without massacring hundreds of thousands of innocent people? Wise men will explain this with allegories, metaphors, etc. But if we get freed from the dogmatic thinking, this resembles a lot the Sumerian story, the Sumerian narrative. Anu, Anunnaki, so Anu was the father, he stayed in Nibiru, and he sent his 2 sons, Enki and Enlil, to Earth. Enki Enlil is Yahweh. Enki is the snake man. He was in medicine, pharmaceuticals, not really pharmaceuticals, but he was in scientific man, actually. That's where we get the snake, actually. So Enlil was the angry guy, Yahweh, that was always contradicting. And Enki created the humanity, actually, in the lab, put Adam to deep sleep, and so. Anu, it means, so Anu, their father, it actually means higher ranked there, and he was, or high above, because he remained on Nibiru. And really these two sons were dividing the land. And later on they were also fighting because the sister came, and so since they stay for thousands and thousands of years, there were wars of gods. So as I said, in India there were wars on the sky with their flying objects that they were fighting. Even in Europe, on some old paintings, I think 15th, 16th century and stuff, you can see UFOs on the paintings. Now, I always must mention when I talk about the aliens, because that freaks out people and they think, oh my God, is she crazy? So you've seen, you know, how our universe looks like. So do you really think that we are alone over there? Or you are a flat earther? So, you get it? Why do you think that we are alone? Or if you don't think, why do you think that they haven't visited us? Why do you think they don't have better technology? And watch the video down the rabbit hole. A lot of high-ranked officers and, I don't know, people have said about the encounter, so there's a lot of evidence. So just get comfortable with the idea. That's what the Bible talks about, even the New Testament. More about it in one other video. I'm already at 22 minutes. Okay, Now this one is also good. Why would Yahweh be constantly presenting himself as God of one ethnic group, God of Israel, you do know that, and not of all people? And if you want to go on with this idea, how can the Christian church accept this God, the God of Israel, and be against Judaism in some time space? Yahweh eats, drinks, gets tired, gets covered with dirt, walks usually with officers, executors of his command. Malachim is actually, it means messenger or executor, or yeah, like that. Messenger or executor. Malachim, that's the word for them. And the Malachim are described in one verse to be set in two troops to defend one border in present-day Transylvania. The angels, go to the church, look at the angels. Divided in two troops. They walk, they eat, they look like humans. They are almost arrested when they come at Lot's house. Angels. And Middle East nations in the 2000 BC knew that the territory was ruled by a person called Yahweh. Yahweh. Like this. Oh, not Y, the other way around. YHW. Why? Okay, I don't know if that's going to be like that in the video. Yahweh, or just YH, or YWH, and that he even had a lady by the name Asherah, that the Jewish people from the colony of Elephantino in Egypt, many centuries later, called Anat-Yahu. Here we see that the war for the control of the content of the Bible was won by the Jewish thoughts connected first to Babylonian and Achaemenid culture. If in any case the Egyptian Jewish culture won, Yahweh would still have his companion lady with. So we could stop here at the 25th minute for this video. I'll just put some mark here in my lecture to know where I stopped. I will leave the rest for another video. So this is just a little bit about the well, about everything that we know. So how you can read it differently, what does it mean, what does it say, and that's what I'm telling a lot of, if you finish just one school, a lot of them, they do just biblical researches or whatever, they're just in that, they don't look at the other, they don't look at the Sumerian, they don't look at the Indian narrative, they don't look at the Greek, they don't look maybe at the South American, they're not connecting it. Not only that, in general, the information, it's so, as I said, sometimes they give you something here, something here, something here, and there are some people that are connecting it. So me there, now I was thinking also about that. Who am I? What am I doing? I'm an independent researcher. I'm not really a motivational speaker, because this is not about it. I talk about my life, okay, just to give some, well, I don't know, I'm not. I cannot say I'm just only some of that. I am a little bit independent researcher, which is transmitting the information through my paintings, through my writings. Let me show you this, because it's all connected. You could say it's not, but it's all connected. All right. The paintings, I don't know, it's just coming out of me, and then I insert the ideas. Placebo, you are the placebo. Your time is coming. Physics, where is it? We are all one. You attract what you vibrate. It's resonant frequency in work. Energy, vibration, frequency, Tesla's ideas. I'm interested so in physics and everything, biology and all of the stuff, because there, when you connect it, it makes, it's one story, it's one perfectly meaningful story. Karma is not a bitch, it's a black hole. I made a video in Croatian about it. I think I'm gonna make a separate video, actually, maybe named as the inscriptions on my arch, and then talk about it, because I already talked about a lot of this in the Croatian videos. So yeah, a little bit the chairs I painted. But basically, that's my idea. I'm a combination of a little bit of everything. And that's how I'm trying to transmit the message. I write on clothes and everywhere. Jesus was talking in parables. He was using nature. And today we have science, which is perfectly explaining it. So the law of attraction, or what the Buddhism and the ideas, actually, which were told then, what Jesus was telling, as you reap, you will sow. So it's law of attraction. It's what you vibrate, you attract, or parallel realities, if you want, which they say each one has a different frequency. So it's all connected. That's what I'm trying to say, that the religion is corrupted, that they are giving us false information to keep us enslaved in all of these rules. So much about it for this video. Maybe I'll continue to make the other one just now. Okay, it's quite long. Oh, sorry, but it's lecture. Bye, guys. Stay well.